Control is not a leadership style and is not a character trait. It is a symptom. It appears where inner orientation breaks under pressure and conversations are used to manage insecurity. This video looks at why Type A mistakes control for clarity, why it escalates in conversation, and why it slowly destroys relationships while still feeling necessary. Hello, my name is Sieg. I am the founder of NAVORES and the author of Talking Won't Fix It. A core focus of NAVORES is personal development, not as a psychology or awareness, but as a biological rooted mechanisms that shape behavior, communication, and human interaction under pressure. For Type A, control does not start with dominance, it starts with pressure. It appears when inner clarity no longer holds and decision, conversations and routines suddenly have to provide security that is no longer present inside. In these moments, the focus shifts. Perception and connection fade. What takes over is the need to define, to organize, to decide, and to remove uncertainty. Because uncertainty can no longer be carried internally. At this point, conversations change their function. They no longer serve exchange, they serve stabilization. People speak to fix things. They explain to feel safe. They argue to cover inner security. For Type A, this does not feel controlling, it feels necessary. There is a sense that things must be regulated, that clarity must be created, that decisions must be made, otherwise everything will fall apart. The decisive point is not the topic of the conversation, but its inner function. Control is not used to dominate others, but to stabilize an inner state that no longer feels safe. As inner pressures increase, conversations become narrower. Different views are harder to tolerate, questions feel disruptive, and every challenge feels like an attack on one's own stability. In closer relationships, this dynamic becomes especially visible. What starts as clarification slowly turns into expectation. What begins as conversation becomes correction because inner security is increasingly outsourced to the other person. The other person is not consciously controlled. They are drawn in functionally. They are expected to explain, to adapt, to agree, and by do so to stabilize a system that is already under pressure. For the other person, this does not feel organizing, it feels constricting. Conversations lose openness, relationships lose flexibility, and security is simulated instead of actually felt. Control can create structure, but it cannot create support. It can force decisions and stabilize processes, but it cannot replace inner orientation. It only covers up its absence. The longer this state continues, the more rigid the system becomes. Relationships may still function, but they no longer carry. Closeness becomes conditional, and conversations lose their connecting role. For Type A, control remains logical. It feels right, responsible, and unavoidable. What is overlooked is the price the surrounding system pays. Control is not strength. It is not responsibility. It is an attempt to compensate missing inner support through external fixation. It keeps systems running, but drains them of life. What appears stable is not supported, but fixed. And this is where relationships begin to tip. Quietly, without drama, but irreversibly.